Hees Open Studio, uw belangrijkste update over de wereld van werk. Hello, welcome to Hees Open Studio, your best update in the world of work. Today we have a conversation with Ampleon, a technology company Ampleon, and we promise you in the next 25 minutes we'll give you unique, valuable insights and ideas and all the challenges of having an international workforce. My name is Wouter van Ewijk. Next to me, Paul Eggenhuizen. What's your official job title?
My official job title, I'm not so into job titles, no? But let's make it HR manager.
HR manager, Europe, USA?
Europe and USA. Yeah.
Because you're located various continents, that's why we're talking about international workforce. Thank you so much for finding the time to join us in the webinar.
Pleasure.
Allow me to give the attendees of the webinar some basic info about that we are live. That means that you can ask us your questions. Please do so. This is your chance to ask Paul anything about international workforce, employer brand, talent funnel, HR technology, and maybe even a little bit of outsource recruitment. If you want to ask us a question, you need to be logged into the screen of YouTube. That is very easily done. And if you want to chat, you can find the chat in the desktop version next to Paul on the screen, and otherwise on the mobile version below. So far, the other aspect is we both are far from native English speaking officially, but since we both work for a global company, we thought it would be much more engaging to do it in English. So allow us to have a little bit of hiccups here and there in the English. Let's start. Who is Paul Eggenhuizen?
Paul Eggenhuizen, yeah, of course, that's me. 43 years old, as said, HR manager in Ampleon since 3 years. And already in the HR field for 20 years in different companies, different roles. Happily married, 3 sons, living
Good.
in the Nijmegen, which is a perfect city. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Ampleon, technology company. Can you give us a brief history of the start of the company?
If I do it very brief, 2 years ago we divested from NXP. Maybe people know NXP. I think Ampleon is not a well-known brand in that sense.
Working on it.
Yeah, working on it, definitely. So we divested from NXP. We used to be a business line, and we started up our own standalone company. And that's a big challenge we had in the past 2 years. But yeah, we'll touch upon that later on, I guess.
Yeah. So there you were, formally integrated into another company. What considerations did you have with regards to HR recruitment at the start?
No, at the start we were part of a large company with a lot of corporate roles, corporate competencies, such as HR, for example, but also sales and supply chain, those kind of, let's say, core elements, which were not included in the business line. So building Ampleon is also staffing and building competencies to make let's say a real company.
Yeah.
And also in HR, I used to be the only one in HR. Now we have an HR team globally in the different locations. So a lot of things has changed in 2 years.
Yeah, and having to grow a corporate environment basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's growing the corporate environment, and at the same time, of course, not at the same level as a large company. Yeah. We are a big company, but of course we are different in size than other large companies.
Yeah. In the pre-interview we had, you mentioned a very interesting aspect. I asked you about what growth challenges did you have, and obviously we're not finance. We're not gonna talk about the numbers. And then we started talking about the people, and then you mentioned you had competence growth as a challenge. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, basically what I meant by that is, of course, also in our company we focus on headcount and financial numbers. That's very important, of course. I would say.
A company anyway.
Yeah, we need to make money, but in the end, it's about what kind of competencies do we need. Of course, at the day one, so called, we had a lot of competencies in house because we were a very professional and successful business line. So that was our starting point. But building a company, we needed to add a lot of competencies. And it's not about adding a number of headcount, but what kind of competencies do we need? And as mentioned, of course, for example, on HR, we had all kind of HR, different roles in our former company. We need all the roles, but we don't have the bandwidth to build all the roles in our company. So it's more focusing on what kind of competencies do we need. And that also applies for all the other roles. And I think still now we focus a lot on the let's say building the competencies, not only for the current workforce, because in the end we are a technology company. We are a very high-end, innovative, high-tech technology company. So our R&D, that's our core. So what kind of R&D competencies do we need to also stay successful in the market in the coming years?
And I can imagine it also concerns perm or flex at certain points in time.
It's. I think this applies on both aspects. In the past 2 years, especially in year one, we had a lot of flex, also needed in building up the company, but starting a lot of projects, but also needed the flex to make sure that we are flexible after 1 or 2 years. What do we really need on the long run? But at the same time, we also added a lot of competencies in supporting organization in the different locations. As mentioned, we are in different locations, so it's about all the locations across the world.
Many different competences and considerations, basically. For the people that do not know Ampleon, shame on you. No. Paul explained, basically, if there wouldn't be any data traffic, there's a good chance there wouldn't be any data traffic without Ampleon, because in all the different towers you see on top of the buildings,
there are so-called base stations.
The base stations, you've got the amplifiers, the Ampleon amplifiers, and that's their core business. So a little bit of insight in their product.
Correct.
Okay, let's get back to the main topic, the challenges of sourcing internationally. What are, from your point of view, what are the key challenges?
No, I think maybe a few. I think the key challenge in a company like us is that we have different locations, as mentioned, in Europe, US, but also in Asia, in different locations in China. And we don't have the bandwidth to build an HR and recruitment competence all over the world. So we need to think and organize things from a global perspective, but the execution needs to take place on a local level. So that's a big challenge. So we involve a lot of the local teams. The local hiring managers are very important in engaging in the recruitment process. The other thing is that we have a lot of international hires as well. It's always different to attract the right talents. So we attract talents from all over the world. So in terms of...
So you demand, the need is global and you need to execute it local. And from a candidate perspective, we also hire, I think 60-70%, I think even more, is international. So that also brings a lot of aspects around that, with relocation, visa, discussing things with spouse, because making a move like that, it's not an individual choice. You do it with your family in most cases. So that's complicated. But for us, it's sort of business as usual. Understand. And there you were 2 years ago, a new company, so also unknown.
I think that's maybe the other of maybe even biggest challenge from an employee, let's say, value proposition. Nobody knew Ampleon in the beginning.
So building the employer brand.
That's a huge thing. At the same time, we are in a niche market. We are a very specific company in a specific market. So our hardcore R&D population basically knows where to find us, because although we are a new company, we have over 50 years of history and track record. So that's known in the market still now. But Ampleon as a company, let's say an employer to work for, that's new. So that's a big challenge also to translate that to the external world. We have a lot of great stories to share, but how to share that with the external world.
Understand. Purely personal interest, how many people are actually capable of building amplifiers, have got the knowledge to the R&D people?
I think the best are in Ampleon, and we have a few competitors in the world. So I think you talk about 1,000 people worldwide.
Really?
That's it. Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, a lot of other people are involved as well. But really designing the products and solutions we have, that's a unique competence. Yeah.
So, if you want to step into a niche as a developer or the research and development department,
and part of a unique company.
That's all sales.
Yeah.
So we talked about the challenges of sourcing internationally. What can you mention a little bit about the specific recruitment strategy you had from the beginning? What aspects were lined out as a strategy?
Yeah, I think a few elements there. What I mentioned already, start the discussion with the competence and not with the headcount number. So that's one. Of course, we have a strategy on the flexibility in our workforce, and that changes over the years. So that's a big one. But also very important for us is to keep things simple. We had a lot of vacancies and also flex vacancies in the past 2 years, and we are, I think, when I look back, I'm very proud and that we are capable in finding and attracting the right talents, and not only from fixed positions but also for flex positions, and we make a lot of use of our internal workforce. So I'm not sure if that's special, because I don't think it's very special, but for us that's really a starting point. So recruitment starts engaging with your current workforce, including them in the recruitment process, including them in also attracting talents with referral programs, lining up big interview teams, because I really believe that making a good fit with the company, you can have a brilliant story, but we do it more like what you see is what you get. Well,
I listened to it, and I really thought it was a key pillar of your success to have such focus on your own people. And I can also imagine if you're moving from one country to the other, that the referral of the people that have already done it and already lived there are very valuable, and makes it more welcome. You mentioned the story. Besides having your own people, your story. What can you say in regards to employer brand? Where did you start? Where are you now?
I think where we were is we didn't have an employer brand at all at day one.
Glad to say a brand.
That's so our first let's say aspect was building our brand. That's more from a marketing and communication perspective, also towards our customers and just in the market. I think last year we made a switch to translate that the strength that we have also into an employer brand. So the great stories we have, we share that on an individual base with all potential colleagues. We now are shaping our text and website because we built that 2 years ago, and that needs to be improved. We also have challenges to improve. A few months ago we launched our new video. We made a corporate video also there with our own people.
Good.
Also there, what you see is what
Telling
you get.
The story, great.
So a lot of things happened, but the coming 2 or 3 years that will be, let's say, on top of the radar to also improve there on the brand perspective.
Good. We're talking about recruitment strategy. What can you say with regards to the talent funnel?
Talent. I think talent funnel.
You want it filled, obviously.
Of course. I think for all companies, it's important to have a funnel, even not only in the war of talent kind of discussion, but I think it's always important to have a funnel because.
Can you quantify it?
We are now quantifying it. What we had for example, from day one, with the divestment, we also lose all the funnel expertise. So we started also basically basically from recruitment, but also from a funnel perspective with 0.
0.0, yeah.
Now we have for all the critical roles, we have at least 5 potential candidates lined up for these positions. That doesn't mean that they are 100%, let's say, in Ampleon already if we reach out to them, but engaging them with them on a regular basis, that's very important. So also there again, it's identifying the core competencies. What kind of important roles do we have? Where do we foresee potential, let's say, white spots? That's also a close cooperation between the recruitment and HR. Of course, sometimes as HR you have some inside information. I like to share that as early as possible with my recruitment partners to make sure that we are prepared, and we have a lot of success there. In the future, I think building the funnel, that's a success. Making use of that funnel, that's something we can improve. That takes time. So the number of, let's say, filled vacancies based on the funnel is very limited yet, but I expect that in the coming 2 years that will increase.
So there we have the back-end funnel. Now the front-end funnel. What channels do you use?
Yeah, that's a good question. Basically, we take it very simple. Of course, we have our website and LinkedIn, those kind of elements. But reaching out to the population, we do a lot via our network, via, let's say, the referral program. But not only the referral program.
So a step back, because with the referral program, how do you actually operate it?
Basically, it's very simple. We have a simple program that if one of my colleagues identifies a potential new candidate, that candidate ends up in the interviewing process, etc. In the end, we hire that candidate, then that colleague that referred to that candidate gets a reward. Basically, very simple, and that reward is depends on the location and also the type of the role. Some roles are, let's say, more specific or more unique or more difficult to find. So I like to reward my people instead of rewarding all kind of recruitment agencies if not needed. Besides
the reward, people also feel
the recognition. I think that maybe that's also what I mean with reward. It's not only the financial part. It's also people really feel I
they
like
really
to
do
engage.
And they also really want to tell others about Ampleon.
And that's I think that's great. And of course we can improve there as always. That's good. But I think we have a lot of good examples already.
Good.
For example, hiring managers are excluded in that referral program because
does make sense a little bit.
We say, that's your role. You need to build up your team. You have your network. We help them to how to engage with that or how to interact with that network. We follow a lot of courses, seminars in our, let's say, R&D competence. So they have in that niche, as mentioned, they have their network. But sometimes you need to trigger them. You go to that conference or you have that meeting. Maybe you should think about this or that, or people are not always aware of the possibility.
Good. When sourcing, the sourcing channels, does it matter what channel you use from when you are in USA or in China?
Basically, I say no, because our view is, in the end, it's about attracting talents. Where the talents come from, basically, I don't care. It's about bringing good competencies in our organization. Having said that, of course, we have different flavors in the different locations. We have
and also different channels.
And channels. For example, LinkedIn is a very strong platform. In China, that doesn't work quite well. It's improving, by the way, but we have different, let's say, Chinese LinkedIn kind of career pages which we use. We have specific France, let's say, career sites that we use and build up experience with that. So yes, it's globally sort of the same, but I don't think that one size fits all is always the best approach. So we also, from a recruitment perspective, make it local.
Good. I was just about to make a little little bridge to technology.
Okay.
And also I wanted to ask the viewers to please send us questions. And there we have Werner. So it's good. Thank you, Werner. Thank you for your question, because he's specifically asking about how does usage of big data support the recruitment strategy. And basically, I was about to ask, from an HR perspective, recruitment perspective, what considerations or challenges did you have with regards to technology?
Well, I think it's an interesting question. When I, as always, try to be as honest as possible, we don't use that a lot. But having said that, we are now in the phase of how to use that.
Yep.
We have a lot of data, like LinkedIn, with our recruitment partners. A lot of data is available, but how to use that? I think we can improve there. That was also not part of our, let's say, strategy in the past 2 years. But I think in the coming years, we should do that a bit more, because I think if you ask me, do we attract the right talents? Yeah, I'm fully convinced that we do, because we have great new colleagues, and they are adding value to the business. The success rate is very high, so everything is positive. But at the same time, do we always find the right talents? Because maybe we look in a specific market that we know, but maybe can data help us to explore other elements in the market, to even further build the funnel. So I think we can make better use of data, but we don't have that expertise in-house. So we are now investigating to see how can data help us.
It's also about the consideration about what technology to use, basically.
And that's also in the first, let's say, 2 years. Technology, I always believe, should be supportive to the primary, let's say, process and the business results. So if you ask me now, I don't miss the technology. No. We have our own technology, but we build it our own. Do we need to consider maybe a change there in the coming years? Yeah, perhaps. But that's also due to the fact that we are an international company, a different location, etc. But we don't have 1,000 vacancies a year. No. So till now, it's manageable. But tracking this data, also from a funnel perspective, that's something which we started with. Gathering all kind of data from candidates, but that's what we did. That's why we can map potential candidates to our technical, let's say, competencies and core functions. But data from the market, we don't use that a lot up to now. Those
1,000 core developers, that would be manageable, but the rest of the world, and also the new supply of just graduates and the new talents. And once the competitor starts shaping digital environment, then everybody. Even us, we're getting into the more engaging and the data-driven part of it as well. Let's talk about where you are now. What specific success factors can you really mention of the past 2 years?
I think the biggest success, I think when I look at the numbers,
workforce size,
the size that we really grew our workforce size, but in terms of competence, with the right people. I'm really proud of also the new hires, so to say, and of course also very proud that everybody's still on board. So I think with the whole team, we did a great job. I think the involvement of our own workforce is very important, but also shows effect. We, for example, in interview rounds, we use a lot of colleagues in those interview rounds. And every interview round is also starting sort of kicked off with what do we really need? What are you going to ask? What do we do? And also an evaluation. So it's a sort of decision that we take together. In the end, the hiring manager is responsible, but it's really a team effort, and I think that really makes it successful.
Your own workforce is the key to success.
Yeah, that's
the new workforce.
And that's also linked to that data, although I believe that data can help us, but the core data is in our genes, in our DNA, I should say. That means that if we need to find the right people, then we need to identify and make that cultural fit also with our current workforce. So involving them is very important. And of course you can ask, can everybody then be included? Yes, I think so. But of course we are also a little bit specific, and we try to help people also how to conduct an interview, how to set up that process. So process-wise we are fully in control, and that's also a learning phase. Yeah.
Good. That was the success factor. Obviously, there must have been, and there still are, some weaknesses or points for improvement. Can you mention a few?
No, I think that question triggered me on that data. I think that's something that we need to dive into. How can data help us maybe in the future? I think our referral program works, but I think we should be aware and put it on the radar also for the coming year to have the focus still on referral and also evaluate, is it still workable? Do we need to change that? I think the branding is very important. I think in the past 2 years we had a lot of vacancies.
One video doesn't make a brand. That's what you said earlier as well.
I'm really proud of that. That's
true.
I think it's good, and it already showed that it helped us. But building a brand is not shooting one video. We are fully aware of that.
That is step one.
So making additional steps on that one, and also I think in the brand perspective, building our storyline outside on LinkedIn, those kind of elements. I think we are not strong there yet, but we have a great story to share. So I think those are challenges ahead.
What can you say with regards to partnerships? Because obviously, especially when you've got so many different competences, different locations, how do you value partnerships?
I value it a lot. Even stronger, partnering for success is one of our strategic pillars as a company. So we really believe that we should have partners on all aspects of the business to team up to great results. So partnership is very important, and that means that partnership in terms of recruitment, for example, also be flexible, be open, be transparent. Open and sharing the feedback on what can be, let's say, improved. I think that's very important. Of course, recruitment also in our company is a lot of money involved. So cost-wise, partnership is also about how can we save money. That's also an element. But it's in the end about competences are needed to, let's say, meet our business targets and ambitions, not only today, but even stronger in the coming years, and we have a lot of ambitions. So partners should also bring in expertise, network, market knowledge, those kind of elements which we don't have. So partnership should also bring additional competencies to the company, which we don't have, let's say, in-house.
True. So to round things up, I said it earlier, the 25 minutes will be over before you know it.
Apparently.
We're up to half an hour already, so that's good. It's a nice talk.
Then 30 minutes to go now?
No. We'll round things up. Now that you've done the things the way you've done it, do you think you always reach the best candidate?
Maybe I touched upon that briefly, but I think I could answer yes and no. I think yes, because I really think that we have evidence that we found brilliant candidates, which really added value to the business. So in that sense, it's 100% yes. But the market is perhaps bigger than the pool which we are looking in. So on the other hand, I could also argue maybe no. And that's where that data point comes in. Maybe data can help us to explore a bigger market to identify future talents for us. So I think it's a yes and a no.
Good. Always challenges ahead, but it's a positive thing. I'm going to round things up. Paul, thank you so much. Possibly we'll do another one. We can take technology, we can take employer brand. Let's discuss a new one.
Thanks.
Thank you for the viewers. Werner, thank you so much for your very relevant question. He says he needs to go. We do as well. We've got the business ahead of us. Please follow Ampleon and also Hayes on LinkedIn. That way you can stay up to date with whatever story they are telling, and also the career opportunities worldwide, 3 continents for Ampleon. And also you can stay up to date with all the webinars of Hayes Open Studio that are still ahead of us. We've got some very inspiring new topics for next month. Thank you so much for viewing, and you can also check out the podcast, which we will be having available soon after this. Thank you so much. Paul, thank you.
Thanks, Wouter.
Good.